What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Today we've got a Chicago Bulls related video in relation to that power forward position in the Chicago Bulls, and we're talking about acquisitions to bring in. Now, in my last video I made about this, I looked at the comment section and I said in that comment section, if you have any suggestions in relation to that power forward position, feel free to let me know in the comments below. And if we got enough suggestions, we got enough players to talk about, I will definitely make a part 2 to that video. And lo and behold, we got a lot of suggestions that I want to talk about today, and here it is. Let's have a little bit of fun, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get a little bit off, I guess, the realism of the Chicago Bulls at the moment, and let's go explore other options and see if there's any possibility that any of them could make their way to the Chicago Bulls. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and the power forward position. Even bench acquisitions, it's not necessarily just the power forward position, it's definitely all acquisitions we could be talking about, but most of them are going to be power forwards or centers, just because we have size issues in relation to the Chicago Bulls. So let's get started, in my opinion, with the most popular one that I got from that comment section. Many of you guys in the comment section below discussed this, and I think this is definitely an intriguing one to talk about. His name is Mo Bamba. Mo Bamba from the Orlando Magic has had a really solid year, in my opinion, averaging around 11 points and 9 rebounds per game. He's had a phenomenal start to his NBA season. He's got a lot of credit and a lot of praise from Orlando Magic players and fans this year, and I think many people would absolutely love to have a player like Mo Bamba on this team, who can pretty much be an offensive weapon, a defensive weapon, and fixes a lot of size issues that many people see as a big problem in relation to the Chicago Bulls. The issue with Mo Bamba is, I actually think that the Orlando Magic rate Mo Bamba very highly. I see it very difficult to see a player like Mo Bamba leaving the Orlando Magic anytime soon. And I guess that's just me saying that because he's got a lot of meaningful minutes this year that he might have not got in previous years, and he's stepping up to the plate. Now, the positive about discussing with Orlando is that we did recently make a trade for them for Nikola Vucevic, and that was definitely a player that I think the Orlando Magic really like. I think that they gave him a contract because they really believe in Wendell Carter's ability on that team, especially on a rebuilding team like the Orlando Magic. So in hindsight, maybe that they enjoyed that deal so much for them that they could potentially discuss talking about deals for the Chicago Bulls, and maybe it will be a little bit easier to get Mo Bamba than, say, other teams around the league when it comes to trading for Orlando. But realistically, I don't see Mo Bamba, unless he's creating a fuss spot on his own, leaving the Orlando Magic anytime soon. I do think it's going to be a little bit more difficult than other players we'll be talking about on this list to kind of get him out of Orlando. But he's definitely a fan favorite, and I think many people would love him on the Chicago Bulls, and so would I. I think he's a great player, and again, this season is showing that he could definitely make an impact on a team, but we'll just have to wait and see if that could ever be a reality for the Chicago Bulls. He's a fan favorite, and I understand that. He has a cult following around the world, and I guess it makes sense that many people want him here on the Chicago Bulls. Let's talk about a little bit of an underrated prospect that was mentioned in the comments section, Chris Boucher. I believe Chris Boucher plays for the Toronto Raptors, if I'm not mistaken. Toronto's had a pretty solid year from what I've seen. I believe they have a positive record right now. They've competed against some of the best teams. They definitely brought a fight to the Chicago Bulls, but Chris Boucher is not necessarily someone I've seen in relation to their team get meaningful minutes, which is something that we need to take into consideration amongst all of these things, because at any given time, if a player is not getting the minutes necessary for them to succeed, then they might consider trying to force their way out of a situation. Now, Chris Boucher, in my opinion, he's a power forward slash center. He's a player that is very mobile, very active, can block shots, can defend, and also could be a potential threat from the three-point line as well. And he's definitely has some good positives to his game. And I do think it's easier to get him out of Toronto than it is for Mo Bamba to get out of the Orlando Magic at this point in time. So Chris Boucher is another player that I could see a very interesting prospect for the Chicago Bulls to pursue. Now, of course, we've got to be realistic. I don't hear the Chicago Bulls talking about in terms of rumors, because this is just, I guess, an opinion-based video. There's not a lot of rumors about Chris Boucher or Mo Bamba heading anywhere in relation to the NBA, at least from what I've seen. But I feel like if I had to choose who would be easier to get out of their team, I think Boucher is probably the one that will be a little bit easier to get out of his team per se. I don't think it would be as hard to get him out of Toronto as it would be for maybe Bamba out of Orlando. But two really interesting prospects there, and definitely two I want to talk about. And another one is going to be Naz Reid. He played for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I believe he is 22 years old. He has a decent amount of upside. He averaged around 8 points and 3 rebounds so far this season, and his overall averages are around 10 points and 4 rebounds. So he's not having the best of years in terms of statistics. But to be honest, I don't watch a lot of Timberwolves games, so I don't really have too much to say about this player than what people have already told me in the comment section below. He does seem like a player that seems like he's a very tough guy, and maybe we do need a little bit more of that toughness in the team, that tough, gritty mentality type player, and maybe Naz Reid could definitely be a player that suits that category. But I'm going to be honest, I don't know enough about him to really talk about him as a potential option for the Chicago Bulls. He's been in the league for about 3 years now, so I know there'll be people more interested in a player like him than me. But if you do think he's a good option, please let me know in the comments below, and we could definitely return to this factor if, for whatever reason, Naz Reid is on the Chicago Bulls. Now, let's look at some more unrealistic ones, ladies and gentlemen. There is one that I'm a really big fan of, and I think it's going to be very hard to do. But if we were ever to do this deal, I would absolutely be buzzing about it. His name is Jerami Grant from the Detroit Pistons. Again, Detroit have openly stated many times, no matter what people said, people were desperate for other teams, I should say, not Detroit, but other teams were desperate to see Jerami Grant get traded from the Pistons. And the Detroit Pistons stood their ground on almost every single trade that probably came their way about Jerami Grant. Probably didn't even listen to those trades. And I definitely think that's going to remain true for a few more seasons to come. I think Jerami Grant on this Chicago Bulls team would be absolutely perfect. He has size on him. He's someone that is very agile, very athletic for his size. He's someone that can drop 20 points a night if you want him to do so. He's someone that can defend. And I just think it's the perfect signing, in my opinion, if you want a player in the power forward position. I think he is the one to look at and say, wow, if we brought him into this team, we are serious. It's almost similar to Pascal Siakam, who I won't be talking much about in this video at all, but if we could somehow get that one of those types of players that are really tall, athletic, wing type players that could drop 20 points a night if need be, then we are in a fantastic position, especially towards maybe contending for championships. But I must say, Detroit have held it off a lot in terms of Jerami Grant, and time might not be on their side in relation to Jerami Grant and what he's going to do in his future, but I don't see the Chicago Bulls getting Jerami Grant. Again, these are unrealistic options per se. Jerami Grant is probably the most unrealistic option of the entire list. I don't see Jerami Grant leaving the Detroit Pistons for the Chicago Bulls, and I don't think we are willing to get Jerami Grant, because if we were to do so, we'd probably have to get rid of Kobe White, Patrick Williams, and a few picks, and I'm not sure the Chicago Bulls are willing to do that at this point in time, because I do see that they believe in Patrick Williams, and obviously Kobe White will have to wait and see about. I think they're willing to trade Kobe White, but I don't see them doing it anytime soon. So Jerami Grant is a wait and see situation. That's all I could really say on that. And but yeah, I think it's also very unlikely to get Jerami Grant. Another player that was talked about is Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes from the Sacramento Kings. A lot of people have been talking about Harrison Barnes recently in that comment section. I think he was the second or third most talked about player in that comment section. And with Harrison Barnes, he's making a lot of money. I think he's making around 23 million or something like that per season. And again, if he's not a Jerami Grant type player, if he's not a player that can instantly be one of your better players on the team if he's joining for 23 million, I'm not sure if Harrison Barnes, even at his age, is worth that kind of money. So if I was to say, let's get Harrison Barnes, I'd probably wait till free agency and try to get him for significantly less if we were able to do that. I don't think trading for Harrison Barnes is the right way to go, and I definitely don't see Sacramento getting rid of Harrison Barnes. I think he's had a good season so far. I've seen a lot of highlight plays of Harrison Barnes and making just really big shots for his team. But yeah, I don't see Harrison Barnes as a real viable option for that power forward position either. I think he's a great 3-and-D type player, but I just don't see it happening anytime soon for the Chicago Bulls. I think Harrison Barnes could be someone we could pursue in a free agency type thing if he doesn't re-sign. But yeah, I don't see Harrison Barnes being a good option either. To be honest, I wouldn't say he's not a bad option. I was saying for the price, I think we could do better than that. And the last player I want to talk about, because this video is getting rather long and I don't want to keep it, I'm sure we can make a part 3 to this video if you really want. It's just a fun video at the end of the day. I love talking about these things, although they're not realistic, although they're not things that I think we should. Every single player is like, you can't get every player on the Chicago Bulls, let's say. So I'm bringing my honest opinions to the situation, but it is relatively fun. The last player I want to talk about, I think this guy has mentioned Joe Ingles in my comment section nearly every video, I feel like, because he's a great player in my opinion, Joe Ingles. And of course I'm an Australian, so I would always like to talk about Australian talent, because I do think Australia has some really great talent in relation to the NBA and basketball in general, and we are getting up there in terms of just how good our players can be. And Joe Ingles is another player that I would love to have on the Chicago Bulls. He's a great three-point shooter. He could do a lot more to this team in terms of offensively. He can make us a lot better. If he's going to be on the bench of this team specifically as well, he provides bench scoring at a power forward position. He kind of fixes 2 solutions there as well. He's a great player in my opinion to have off this bench, and he plays for the Utah Jazz, and according to people, he wants out of Utah. He wants a trade away from Utah, and I haven't heard too much about this situation. But from my perspective, if I was the Utah Jazz, I am in a position right now, Utah, they're second in the West. I believe they have a 7-3, 8-3 record, whatever the case may be. The Utah Jazz are in a position now where anything could happen in the West. I think the West is truly unpredictable. I think you saw teams like the Phoenix Suns that, I believe they were second in the West, to be fair. You got to give them credit. But no one saw them making it to the NBA Finals. And I think in the West at this point in time, looking at how the Lakers are doing, and looking how the Clippers are doing, and looking how good at the Warriors are doing right now, then you've got teams like Denver. Portland's not doing very well. Denver's doing great. The Mavericks are doing great. The West is a whirlwind. Same with the East, but the West is a whirlwind that's really unpredictable. And Utah has a great chance, in my opinion, to go far in the playoffs and maybe go all the way into the NBA Finals. There's a possibility there for them. So if I was Utah, why would I want to change a formation or change a system, change players that in the end could help you to go all the way? I really find it hard to believe that that Utah would want to get rid of Joe Ingles at any stage of this season. I think in the off season, it's worth a discussion that if he wants a trade, of course, that trade might have to be done. It's as simple as that. But I haven't heard too much about it. But if I was Utah, I would want to keep Joe Ingles in this team, because he could definitely bring them closer to what they could potentially fulfill in terms of a championship than I think without him. And I think he's that good of a player that he does make an impact. And that whole team in general is so perfect for each other that I don't think it's worth ruining at the moment for, I guess, one trade. And I think he would work well here. He would definitely make us better. He would make us a higher standing in the Eastern Conference. We already are a great team. But for Utah, I don't think they're focused on the Bulls. I think they're focused on themselves, and I don't see why they would want to get rid of Joe Ingles. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is my video today. That's all the power forwards I would like to talk about, all the players I would like to talk about in relation to the Chicago Bulls. Now, before you guys go on a tangent in the comments as well and say that this is not realistic, none of these are going to happen, this is a fun video. This is not an opinion. This is not a rumor video. There are not many rumors about these players swirling around the Chicago Bulls whatsoever. This is me looking at your comments, all of your comments, and all of the great suggestions that you guys gave in relation to the NBA season, and this is me reacting to them, giving my honest opinion on the player and whether or not I see it being likely that the Chicago Bulls can pursue them, and why not. Is it a good possibility or a bad possibility? If it's a good idea or a bad idea, all of those situations. It's just a reaction to your great comments in the comments below. So if you want a part 3, I don't think I'm going to make a part 3 regardless. I'm going to be honest, because I don't want to drag out a video until it just gets pointless to make. I thought it would be fun to react to another video of these, but I don't want to continue a trend like this, in my opinion, because it just will get a little bit out of hand. However, if you do have more suggestions in the comments below and I actually find them believable to pursue, then maybe we can continue those discussions. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Have a wonderful and safe day, Bulls Nation. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.